One of the issues and concerns for parties giving evidence in an employment tribunal is how are they supposed to give witness evidence?
Yeah, I mean, that's everyone's concern really when they are called to give evidence. The golden rule is to listen to the question and answer the question you're being asked. And that sounds like a really obvious thing to say, but I would say that is where most witnesses can fall down. Sometimes if the answer is a really simple yes or no, that's all you need to say. Sometimes if you don't know or you don't remember, then you must say that you don't know or you don't remember. You must just answer in the most truthful way you can. But obviously all witnesses are there to help the tribunal to understand the facts. So if there's a part of the answer that you can give truthfully because you do remember some of it, then obviously the witness must give that evidence. I think sometimes most witnesses feel the urge to fill the silence. So sometimes, even if they have answered the question completely by saying yes or no, they want to fill the silence as if they're having a social conversation. But that's not a good idea when you're giving evidence. It's much better to simply answer the question truthfully, then stay quiet and wait for the next question to be put.
Another question that we're often asked is, can you help me with coaching for the witness box?
Yeah, and the answer is no, not in this country. So lawyers are not allowed at all ever to coach a witness. I think they do in America, but I only know that because of the films. In this country, of course, you're allowed to give advice generally on how to give evidence, but you're not allowed to practice questions and answers. And actually, in my experience, it's not a good idea anyway. I think evidence is more persuasive if it's given spontaneously. And I think witnesses who have tried to practice too much sometimes are then caught off guard when there's a question they weren't expecting, or sometimes they just lose sight of the question they're being asked at that time.
How important is witness credibility in a case?
In the vast majority of cases, it's extremely important. I have seen cases where on paper one side seems much more credible than the other, but if the witnesses come across badly, or simply a witness is more likeable than the other side's witnesses, then that can be fatal to any case, really.
So how can a witness prepare then?
Well, in my view, it's always a good idea, if possible, for key witnesses to read the bundle. The bundle will be all of the relevant documents. Normally, bundles are arranged in chronological order. You can get a real flavour for what happened simply by reading a bundle from beginning to end. It's a good idea to read the pleadings, so the claim form and the defence form, so that a witness, obviously even not with legal training, but they can understand the case that they're required to meet or defend. And sometimes just reading through particularly contemporaneous evidence like emails or letters or notes of conversations, that can really help to jog a witness's memory. I also usually advise, and again, I know this isn't always easy with competing priorities in witnesses' lives, but I usually also advise reading all of the witness statements. So that's not just the one that you've just signed, but everybody else's, so that, again, you might be reminded of something as a result of seeing something in a witness statement. And sometimes if you read the other side's statements, you can you can give further evidence or further instructions to your lawyers by countering something that they say. I think some people think that cross-examination is about tripping the witness up or tricking the witness in some way. It isn't. cross-examination is simply an opportunity for the witness to counter the other side's case, because, as you know, the lawyer must put their client's case to the witness.
And if a witness makes an error or is worried about some of the evidence that he's or she has given, what should he or she do?
I mean, my advice on that is really to kind of, well, first of all, kind of own up to it. If you've made a mistake, it is much better to simply say, I've made a mistake. Actually, I said that I was at this meeting and I wasn't, or whatever. Because in my experience, tribunals much prefer a candid, straightforward witness rather than somebody who is trying to give the best evidence. It's much better to just be candid about it. Occasionally, representatives can ask questions in re-examination, and what that means is at the end of cross-examination you are sometimes asked questions that arise from the answers in cross-examination, but I wouldn't recommend witnesses rely on that. Going back to the golden rule, many people overthink the question. So rather than just listening to the question and answering that question, they will listen to the question and then think of all of the implications of an answer they might give. And then they end up rambling and appearing as if they are avoiding the question, which again damages credibility.